From Deputy Clerk and two from...
I owe a very big debt of thanks and gratitude to the Fianna Fáil colleagues here, and particularly to Michael McGrath for bringing forward this legislation. It's shameful that the government actually haven't attended to the huge problem that's arisen and that was staring them in the face since 2009, 2008. Because my time is short, I'm going to read this into the record. That the real banking inquiry should be what we're talking about. The other one, and the Joint Oireachtas Committee, is looking in the rear-view mirror. Here is where the problem lies. Here is where the citizens are hurting, as Deputy O'Keefe has said. And the bank boards and the auditors are clearly at fault, measurably so. Evidence here in a page and a half. And I'm going to read this into the record because I haven't got the time. A couple of things occurred the last 48 hours. The Chief Executive of Bank of Ireland announced with pride that profits of €900,000 are being reported in the most recent results. A turnaround, million euro. A turnaround of 1.5 billion due to the real hard work of the bank and its people. We made mistakes, he said, and I was on the team that made the mistakes. Well, do you know what? Why isn't he paying for them? Because I've been involved pro bono in 5 cases with the 2 so-called pillar banks where they're operationally, again on the evidence, out of control. And they're not even communicating with the customers who are being beaten up and assaulted financially. And I say those words advisedly because I've had 20 years of experience in banking and restructuring loans and coming to agreements. There's no agreements at the moment. They say there's agreements. There isn't. There's guns to the head of customers. And this thing of split mortgages is a joke. You don't do it for businesses. You don't do it for people. And to think that there are 50,000, 60,000 actually, as Deputy O'Keefe said, mortgages in more than a year's arrears, that's about, at a multiple of 3 per household, 180,000 citizens in deep distress. That's obscene. How dare a temporary investor like Wilbur Ross make a profit of €500 million on an investment that was guaranteed because the state effectively was guaranteeing his investment. Maybe not on paper, but in reality. And he, the most powerful and influential director on the board, putting in place a policy of no loan write-downs or write-offs in restructurings. How obscene! And he's even left the country. You know, the government should really wake up out of its arrogant thing. And scaremongering, that word, there's no scaremongering. This is reality. I said to Brian Lenihan, actually, the late Brian Lenihan, in 2009, there would be losses in the Irish-owned banks, true losses of 65 billion on the commercial type loans and about 30 billion minimum on the mortgage loan book. And that's exactly what's occurred. And the example given by Robert Troy, where he says, you know, the negative equity, there's no such thing as negative equity, it's a loss. And to force a loss and realise a loss by putting in receivers on loans when this paper, as I told you, please read it, it shows you how the banks alone and their boards, and they should be collectively in at that inquiry, answering to the evidence in front of them of their balance sheets of how they brought the banking, size of the banking, domestic banking in Ireland from 3 times national income to over 5 times in 6 years.
Thank you,
that is a recipe for a Ponzi result to a credit pyramid bust.
Thank you. Deputy